Good day everyone and good day po attorney. For today, I am going to discuss about the Rule 119 Section 8 and 9. First Section 8 sanctions, no. So ano nga ba tong sinasabi nating sanctions, no? So ang sanctions, ito po yung mga penalty na pwede impose ng court either kay accused or sa abogado ni akusado. So sa ating PowerPoint, no, may nakalagay tayo may apat tayo diyan. So sa letter A, no, hindi ko na siya babasahin, no. So isa-summary ko na lang. So ang meaning nito, no, so alam nila kung yung importanteng witness or yung witness mismo is hindi available, pero nag-undergo pa rin sila, no, sa pag-set ng trial, no. So ang magiging effect nito is magkakaroon ng delay in administration of justice kasi nga ito yung mga importanteng witness na makakatulong upang makapagpatunay kung si accused ba talaga is gumawa ng isang krimen o isang particular na crime or liable siya sa isang crime. So kung walang witness, magkakaroon ng violation sa speedy of trial sa part ni accused. So punta tayo sa letter B, no? So dito it means na ang mga abogado or piskal ay magfa-file ng motion para lang, no, ma-delay ang proceedings ng trial. So nag-raise lang siya ng motion, nag-file siya ng motion para ma-delay lang. So parang wala lang. And isa ito sa mga grounds na pwedeng bigyan ng penalty or sanctions ng court. So ayun, sa ating letter C, no? Sa ating letter C naman, ito yung mga purpose di kumukuha ka ng motion to continuance na alam mo naman na hindi totoo, na gusto mo lang is to prejudice, no, the determination of justice para pahabain ang paghihirap ng both parties during proceedings of trial. So ayun, sa letter D natin, so sa letter D natin, no, willfully fails to proceed to trial without justification consistent with the provisions hereof, the court may punish such counsel, attorney, or prosecutions as follows. So kay counsel, no, sa part ni counsel, retained in connection with the defense of an accused, and ang pwede niyang makuhang fine is not exceeding 20,000 pesos. And sa ating mga appointed counsel naman, counsel de officio or yung ating mga PAW, no, yung makukuha nilang fine is not exceeding 5,000 pesos. So ang next is, aside sa fine, no, sila ay pwedeng ma-deny ng court, no, or patigilin sa pag-proceed sa case, or patigilin sa pag-proceed ng case, or patigilin upang mag-practice ng kanilang profession. But this is only for 30 days, within 30 days, no, not exceeding 30 days ito. So punta naman tayo sa section 9, no, of Rule 119, trial, which is the remedy where accused is not brought to trial within the time limit. So ano nga ba yung mga remedyo, no, kapag hindi natin nadala ang ating accused sa trial? So dito sa ating PowerPoint, so ito it means, no, kapag hindi na-reach yung time limit na inallow para dalhin sa trial si accused, the information may be dismissed on motion of the accused on the ground of denial of his right of speedy trial. And ang speedy trial is a constitutional rights, no? So may right si accused, no, na within that limit of time, no, yung period na yon, kailangan niyang makapag-proceed sa trial, no. Kung tapos na siya ng arraignment, tapos na rin naman siya ng pre-trial, so need na natin siya i-undergo within the time na uh, period of time, no, after that certain activity, yung pre-trial, no, bago siya mapunta sa trial. So after nung limit na yun, yung time limit na yun, proceed na tayo sa tinatawag nating trial. So ayun lang for today, no, that is section 8 and section 9 of rule 119 trial. Thank you and God bless.
So, good day, ma'am. I am Clea Linsolaran Filiaca from fourth year Block 2, and for today, I'm gonna discuss about the Section 8 and Section 9 of Rule 119 trial. First is the Section 8, which is the sanction. These sections talks about the if a lawyer or the prosecutions does something wrong, like not telling the court if an important witness won't be there for the trial, making a pointless delay request just to waste time, or lying to get the trial to be postponed, and not showing up for trial without a good reason, is they can be punished. Privately hired lawyer can be fined up to 20,000 pesos, while the court-appointed lawyers, which is the public attorneys or a prosecutors, can be fined up to 5,000 pesos. They might also be banned from practicing law in that court for up to 30 days. This punishment can happen along with other punishment or legal actions. So let's proceed on section 9, which is the remedy where the accused is not brought to trial within the time limit. So in this section talks about the if the accused not brought to trial within the time limit set by the section 9 rule 116 and section 1 extended by section 6 of these rules, they can ask for the case to be dismissed because their right to a speedy trial was violated. The defendant has to prove that there was a delay, but then it's up to the prosecution to show what certain time shouldn't count towards the delay. If the defendant doesn't ask for the case to be dismissed before the trial starts, they can ask later. But getting the case throughout doesn't mean they can be tried again for the same crime later. So that is the end of my report. Thank you very much.
Section 8. In any case which private counsel for the accused, the public attorney, or the prosecutor, letter A, knowingly allows the case to be set for trial without disclosing that a necessary witness would be unavailable for trial. Knowingly allowing a case to proceed to a trial without disclosing the unavailability of a necessary witness is considered a violation of legal ethics and can result in a serious consequence. This action undermines the fairness of the trial process and can be lead to a mistrial or unjust outcome. For example, let's say a prosecutor is aware that a key eyewitness in a criminal case will be outcome of the country during the scheduled trial dates. Instead of informing the defense and the court about this, the prosecutor proceed with setting the case for a trial. As a result, the defense is not given the opportunity to adequately prepare and the trial may be proceed without crucial evidence or testimony, potentially leading to unfair conviction. Letter B. File a motion solely for delay which he knows is totally frivolous and with meant. Filing a motion solely for the purpose of causing delay and knowing it lacks any legal or merits in a considered an abuse of the illegal system and can lead to a sanction against the attorney responsible. For example, for instance, imagine a civil case where one party lawyer repeatedly files motion requesting an extension of deadlines despite knowing that the grounds for this request are entirely frivolous and without any legal basis. These tactics not only waste the court's time and resource but also unfairly prolongs the litigation process, causing unnecessary expenses and stress for the opposing parties such as behavior undermines and principle of justice and the efficient administration of the legal system. Making a false statement to obtain a continuance, especially when the statement is material to the granting of the continuance, is a serious violation of legal ethics. It can undermine the integrity of the judicial process and can result in severe consequences for the attorney involved. For example, suppose a defense attorney in a criminal case knowingly tells the court that their client needs a continuance because the client's main alibi witness is hospitalized and unable to testify. However, in reality, the witness is perfectly healthy and available to testify. The attorney makes this false statement with intention of delaying the trial to gain more time and prepare for strategic reason. This deceptive behavior not only wastes the court's time but also jeopardizes the fairness of the legal proceeding. Letter D. Willfully fails to proceed the trial without justification consist with the provision hereof, the court may punish such counsel, attorney, or prosecutor. When an attorney willfully fails to proceed to the trial without justifiable reason, the court has the authority to penalize or punish the attorney for such conduct. This is because such as action disrupt the judicial process and can lead unnecessary delays and expenses. For example, let's say a prosecutor repeatedly fails to appear the scheduled trial dates for a criminal case without providing valid justification. This behavior not only wastes the court's time but also impacts the administration, justice, and the rights of the accused. The court may impose sanction of the prosecutor such as fine or even disciplinary action to deter such misconduct and ensure the fair and efficient resolution of the cases. By imposing on a counsel privately retained in a connection with the defense of one accused, a fine not exceeding 20,000 pesos. Imposing a fine not exceeding 20,000 pesos on a private retained counsel in a connection with the defense of accused is a measure to hold the attorney accountable for their action and ensure that they fulfill their professional duties and responsibilities. For example, if a defense attorney repeatedly fails to attend the court hearing or engage in behavior delays the trial process without valid justification, the court may impose a fine up to 20,000 as a penalty for such misconduct. These fines serve as a deterrent to prevent attorney from engaging in conduct that undermines the efficient administration of justice and the rights of the accused. It also encourages attorneys to fulfill their obligation to their clients and the court in a timely and professional manners. Number 2. By imposing on any appointed counsel the of the official public attorney or prosecutor a fine not exceeding 5,000 pesos. Imposing a fine not exceeding 5,000 pesos on appointed counsel or the official public attorney or prosecutor is a means of enforcing accountability and discipline within the legal system. If an appointed attorney If an appointed counsel, the official consistently fails to adequately represent their client or neglects their duties without valid justification, the court may be levy and fine up to 5,000 pesos as a penalty for their misconduct. This serve as a deterrence against the negligence or incompetence in a legal presentation. Overall, the imposition of fines on illegal practitioners aim to uphold their integrity of the legal position and ensure that attorneys fulfill their duties to their clients and in the court. By denying a defense counsel or prosecutor the right to practice before the court, trying the case for the period not exceeding 30 days, the punishment provided for by this section shall be without prejudice to any appropriate criminal action or other sanction authorized under the rules. Denying a defense counsel or a prosecutor the right to practice before the court trying to case for a period not exceeding 30 days is disciplinary measure aimed at maintaining the integrity of the legal process and ensuring that attorney uphold their professional responsibilities. For example, if a defense counsel repeatedly fails to appear the court hearing or engage in a behavior that disrupts the trial process, the court may be suspend the right to practice before the court for a period up to 30 days. This penalty serve as a strong deterrent against negligence or misconduct legal presentation. In a case, suspension serve as a serious consequences attorney for the attorney's action while also preserving the fairness and efficiency of the legal proceeding. Additionally, it's important to note that this punishment does not preclude the possibility of the further criminal action or other sanction under the applicable rules. Section 9. Section 9 provides a remedy when the accused is not brought to trial within the time limit mandated by the rules. If the accused is not brought to trial within the specific time frame, they have the right to file a motion to dismiss the case on the grounds of denial of their right to a speedy trial. However, the burden of proof lies with the accused to demonstrate that the right to the speedy trial has been violated. The prosecution, on the other hand, bears the burden of the presenting evidence to establish any exclusion of time permitted under the rules. It's important to note that any dismissal of the case is subject to the rules on a double jeopardy. For example, if an accused person is arrested and charged with the crime but not trial does not commence with the time limit specified by the rules, they can file motion to dismiss the case citing the denial of their right to speedy trial. The burden is not accused to prove that the right to the speedy trial has been violated, but the prosecution must provide evidence to justify any delays in the trial process. If the accused fails to file a motion to dismiss before the trial begins, they waive the right to do so under this section. That's all. Thank you.
A pleasant day, everyone. I am Hiroshima Florentina, your presenter for today, and we will continue to discuss about Rule 119, which is the trial, and I may task to discuss to you about the Sections 8 and Section 9. Now we'll discuss first the Section 8, which is all about sanctions. In any case in which private counsel for the accused, the public attorney, or the prosecutor, A. knowingly allows the case to be set for trial without disclosing that a necessary witness would be unavailable for trial. In Section 8 of Rule 119 of the Philippine Rules of Courts, which is letter A, addresses the sanctions for certain actions related for the trial proceedings. Specifically, if private counsel for the accused, the public attorney, or the prosecutor knowingly allows the case to be set for trial without disclosing that a necessary witness would be unavailable. Sanctions may be imposed. Letter B. Files a motion solely for delay which he knows is totally frivolous and without merit. Files a motion solely for delay which he knows is totally frivolous and without merit. In Section 8 of Rule 119 of the Philippine Rules of Court, letter B refers to situations where a party of their counsel submits a legal motion with the primary intention of causing delay in the legal proceedings, despite knowing that the motion lacks any legitimate basis or merit. In other words, it involves submitting a motion with the sole purpose of prolonging the case without any valid reason or legal ground. This provision aims to discourage such practice and allows the court to impose sanctions or penalties on parties or their counsel who engage in such behavior. Letter C makes a statement for the purpose of obtaining continuance which he knows to be false and which is material to the granting of a continuance. Situations where a party or their representative provides false information with the intention of securing a past phenomenon or delay in the legal proceedings. This false statement is considered material because it directly pertains to the decision-making process regarding whether to grant a continuance or postponement of the proceeding. Letter D willfully fails to proceed to trial without justification consistent with the provisions thereof. The court may punish such counsel, attorney, or prosecution as follows. Number one, by imposing on a counsel privately retained in connection with the defense of an accused a fine not exceeding 20,000 pesos, the authority of the court to levy a monetary penalty on a lawyer who has been privately hired to defend an accused individual. This fine, which cannot exceed 20,000 pesos as stated above, serves as a punitive measure for actions such as filing frivolous motions or making false statements with the intent to cause delays in legal proceedings. Number two, by imposing on any appointed counsel, the official, public attorney, or prosecutor a fine not exceeding 5,000 pesos refers to the authority of the court to impose a monetary penalty on lawyers or prosecutors who are appointed to represent defendants without charge, public attorneys or prosecutors. This fine, which cannot exceed 5,000 pesos, which stated my presentation, serves as punitive measure for actions such as filing frivolous motion or making false statements with the intent to cause delays in legal proceedings. Number three, by denying any defense counsel or prosecutor the right to practice before the court trying a case for a period not exceeding 30 days. The punishment provided for by this section shall be without prejudice to any appropriate criminal action or other section authorized under this case. It indicates that the court has the authority to suspend the privilege of practicing law before that specific court for a limited period, which cannot exceed only to 30 days. This penalty may be imposed on defense counsels or prosecutors who engage in actions such as filing frivolous motions or making false statements to cause unnecessary delays or disrupt the legal proceedings. Furthermore, it emphasizes the punishment prescribed in this section is separate from any other criminal action or sanction permitted under the rule. Now we will discuss about Section 9 of Rule 119. Remedy where accused is not brought to trial within the time limit. If the accused is not brought to trial within the time limits required by Section 1, Rule 116 and Section 1, as extended by Section 6 of this rule, the information will be dismissed on motion of the accused on the ground of denial of his right of speedy trial. This section states that if the accused is not brought to trial within the time limit specified in Section 1 of Rule 116 and Section 116 and Section 1 as extended by Section 6 of the same rule, the accused has the right to file a motion to dismiss the case. This motion can be based on the ground that the accused right to a speedy trial has been denied. The right to a speedy trial is a fundamental right guaranteed by law. It also ensures that individuals accused of crimes are not subjected to prolonged periods of uncertainty and are able to have their case resolved in a timely manner. And if the prosecution rather fails to bring the accused to trial within the prescribed time limit, the accused may argue that their right to a speedy trial has been violated, and the court may dismiss the case as a remedy for this violation. The accused shall have the burden of proving the motion, but the prosecution shall have the burden of going forward with the evidence to establish the exclusion of time under Section 3 of this rule. The dismissal shall be subject to the rules on double jeopardy. This process is refers to the distribution of burdens of proof and evidential responsibilities in the context of a motion to dismiss a case due to a violation of the accused's right to a speedy trial. Burden of proof on the accused. The accused bears the burden of proving the motion to dismiss based on the ground of denial of the right to a speedy trial. This means that the accused must present evidence and arguments to demonstrate that the prosecution has failed to bring them to the trial within the required time limits as specified by the relevant rules. Burden of going forward with evidence on the prosecution. Although the accused bears the burden of proving the motion, once the accused has presented evidence supporting the claim of a denial of the right to a speedy trial, the burden shifts to the prosecution. The prosecution must then present evidence to establish that any delays in bringing the accused to trial were justified and fall within the permissible exclusions provided under this section 3 of the rule. Number 3. Subject to double jeopardy rules. If the court grants the motion to dismiss based on the denial of the accused's right to a speedy trial, the dismissal is subject to the rules on double jeopardy. This means that the accused cannot be tried again for the same offense, preventing them from being subjected to multiple prosecutions for the same alleged crime. Failure of the accused to move for dismissal prior to trial shall constitute a waiver of the right to dismiss under this section. This statement states that the importance of the timeliness in asserting the right to dismiss a case based on the denial of the accused's right to a speedy trial. If the accused fails to file a motion to dismiss the case prior to the start of the trial, It is considered a waiver of the right to seek dismissal under this particular section of the law. In other words, by not taking action to assert their right to a speedy trial before the trial proceedings begin, the accused forfeits the opportunity to have the case dismissed on those grounds. That would be all. I hope you learned something, and thank you for listening and have a good day.